Hey, so good to see you. I'm excited today about my interview with Tami Hardeman. She is based out of almost Atlanta, Georgia. She's just a little bit outside of the city, and she's a food stylist. Fabulous work. I love her work. Check out her links below. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Every little bit helps, and I definitely love to see that support. Tami and I get to talking about the biz, how she got started. Her journey is really interesting. She's got a lot of really good information and tips to share as well. So let's get started. I don't want to hold this up. We got to get rolling. Hello and welcome. And if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do and where you're located and who you are.
My name is Tami Hardeman. I'm a professional food stylist, and I am located about an hour outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
I was cruising through your website and everything, and I noticed you mentioned that your food photography or your food styling career started, 2004?
Yeah, ish. I mean, I guess I've been doing this about 15 years is my guess. I was a fashion stylist before that. And so there was kind of a little gray area where I was starting to dabble in being a food stylist, but I was still doing fashion stuff too. So it's just it's kind of ambiguous when it got started, but yeah.
Yeah. And so your first gig was a hot dog shoot. Right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I used to work there's a big broadcasting station in Atlanta. Most people would be able to figure out what it is, but I used to be a fashion stylist there all the time. And the photographer that I used to work with all the time mentioned to me, he's like, look, I have a food shoot coming up. We do like one a year. And I know you know how to cook because I grew up in a family with people that could cook, and my parents were in the restaurant business or the hospitality business in one way or the other. Yeah. And so he was like, I think we've hired a food stylist. And I was like, I don't even know what a food stylist is really, which was kind of crazy because, being in the industry, I still didn't even know really what a food stylist was. So he just said, he was like, can you just come? You'd be a huge favor if you could just come and like be this person's assistant, because we've hired a food stylist and I don't think she knows what she's doing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I get there and I've got my fashion styling kit, which has, pins and some like wedges and some tape and some glue and some other things.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar to what you would use as a food stylist, really.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so she, in fact, had no idea what she was doing. They released her the second day of the job.
Oh, wow.
And I took the job over.
Oh, my goodness.
It was hot dogs for what we used like back in the day at the Atlanta Braves Stadium. On the big Jumbotron thing, they had all these gourmet hot dogs in the stands, the restaurants there. And so it ended up being a bingo card that they gave out as some promotion at the stadium. And it had all of these gourmet hot dogs on it, like a bingo card grid.
No kidding.
And so that was my first shoot, was just figuring out how to make hot dogs look good, which is actually, they're challenging a little bit. It's not you just, put a hot dog together and get it, put it out there and shoot it. And I just was kind of in love with it at that point.
Yeah. So what was it? What was it that sparked your passion for it? Like in that shoot, in that moment?
And it's funny because, and I think I probably have to backtrack. I think before that there was one shoot that I was on as a fashion stylist, but I was with a food stylist. And so I remember this now, actually, that she had the hardest job I've ever seen. I just remember being there with her and being like, that lady's job sucks. I mean, because, I was the fashion stylist that day, and it was an ad with a kid and a dog and this triple scoop ice cream cone. And my job, I had to order from whatever catalog, 50 of the same t-shirt. So this kid could just change shirts. That's all I had to do was take him in the room and take his shirt and change,
Yeah.
She had a dog, a golden retriever, that was going to jump up on the kid, lick the ice cream, get the ice cream all over this kid's shirt. But the cones had to be perfect, and she was just running around, and it had to be edible because the kid was eating it.
And the dog.
That lady's job blows. And And so I guess I never really thought anything else of it after that, and then panned to this shoot. And I just got there and I just I remember thinking about it like clothing, like I took a makeup wedge or something, or I think we had like a rubber eraser that we had figured out was the right depth to tilt the hot dog the right direction to the camera. And I just remember just kind of being like, this is like all the things I love about styling without all the hard, challenging things. Because at that point in time, I was having a really hard time with like body image issues and stuff. Being a fashion stylist, it was taking more of a mental toll on me than I was enjoying.
Yeah.
And it's a hard business, and like the samples and the models and the people being on time. And there's just like a lot of personality. And there's a lot of like, well, this size 2 model's not skinny enough for these clothes. Can you find someone smaller?
Oh my God.
And when you're around that all the time, like that, you can't help but have that like mess with you a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just wasn't enjoying doing fashion styling as much. And I felt like my career had probably, like I was a little too old to go to New York and sleep on the floor with, 7 other people in an apartment. I had enough success that I was like, paying my own bills and doing all my own stuff. And I couldn't see myself going back. And so I think it just all converged at like the exact right time. And I was just like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That's a really unusual segue. I think you're the first person I've talked to that has this, fashion background, and then you bust a move and all of a sudden you're going into food. So your first food shoot went well. Did that automatically segue? Like, how did you make that transition? You said, oh, this is cool. I like this. I could keep doing this. And then how did you make a plan and go forward to like actually?
I don't know that. It's weird because I don't think I had a plan. At the time I was represented by a pretty big fashion agency as a fashion stylist. And I was still taking jobs from them as a fashion stylist. I was just doing like catalog work stuff that was like, not super glamorous, but it was working 3 or 4 days a week. And then if I wasn't working, I was assisting. Like I went and worked in like a catalog house in the merchandising department, just like hanging out with other people, trying to be on other sets, meet other people and stuff. I mean, I think at one point I made like $50 a day at that place. Yeah, there was a good time where I was like putting my groceries on a credit card, or like putting a $5 chicken sandwich on a credit card.
Wow. Yeah. That's a rough go.
But I do remember going to my agent at one point in time, and I just said to her, I was like, because they were representing hair and makeup people, fashion stylists, prop stylists, but more in like big set sort of jobs, and models. And I remember saying to my agent, I'm on to something. Yeah. And you might want to think about representing me as a food stylist. And they were kind of like, and thought about it. Yeah. And I ended up leaving them. I walked out of there and took my portfolio, and I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Well, but do you think that was because
eventually just by assisting, I put myself out there. I had a lot of contacts with photographers and studios and stuff because I was a fashion stylist. But I was like, hey, if you need somebody to come and, I'm kind of interested in this, I would be, super stoked to come and assist or hang out or help or whatever. Yeah. Until like somebody had me on a Heineken commercial. So I got to see like spritzing beer bottles and using, like the clear coat stuff and all of that stuff. And, and I think I just started hanging around and learning how to do stuff. Yeah. Every time anyone asks, it's like, how do you become a food stylist? It's like, you don't just become a food stylist,
That's definitely true.
Right? Like there's just there's so many misconceptions about foods. I'm sure that we could get into that, but there's like, I'm going to be a food stylist. It's like, cool. That's not, like there's a little more to it than that. I'm not, we don't just like put a pretty plate down and like make it and somebody loves it and we take its picture. Like, there's a little more to it than that.
But also if you actually know that the industry of food styling exists, you're like leaps and bounds ahead of so many people. Cause like, I think I'm super curious, like what your background before you got into fashion styling was too. Like, did you go to school for art or like?
I was an English major.
I love it.
I was an English major and I was working as like a trade publication. that was owned by a major magazine corporation. And so it was sort of at the time when, and like I would go and write a restaurant review, or I would write like these little piddly things for this like regional trade publication. And then it sort of turned out that it was like when accessories and like sort of the bohemian anthropology look came back into style, and everyone was like into like hippie belts and boho sandals and hoop earrings and all this other stuff. And so all of a sudden there were all of these accessory lines and vendors and stuff, and there was nobody writing about them. And so they ended up putting me as a writer to cover like, like trade trends and utility belts and stuff like that. Those belts that had the pouch on them and stuff that was like a fanny pack that was like 25 years ago or whatever.
And now the fanny pack is back.
It's back. It's like all of this stuff was ugly then. But so I ended up writing, and then, I got put on this accessories beat, and then that became more popular because they were so in demand, and then they had me start coordinating my own photo shoots with models and accessories and photographers to go with my articles, because there was just not enough people to do all the work.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, and because I was already at an agency, I became represented by an agency. And at that agency, we would meet photographers, I would see models. And so then I became a fashion stylist.
Yeah.
Out of my job, out of necessity of my job, really.
Yeah.
And so I started booking for models. I held go-sees at the office. I started seeing photographers' portfolios. So I was in the photo business kind of always by accident.
Yeah.
But I knew, even when I was little, I would always have my mom's hand-me-down cameras.
Okay. Yeah.
So I always, if I remembered very distinctly, and I know there are photos somewhere of me, with my mom's Kodak, 110, those little skinny flat cameras. I know I had that thing for a long time. And as a teenager, I used to save up my allowance to buy Italian Vogue.
Oh, wow.
And there was an independent bookstore in Atlanta that carried Italian Vogue, and I, couldn't read a single word of it, but I just loved it so much. And I loved pictures. And I guess I just always knew that I was going to make pictures. It just took a long kind of windy place to get there.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, so you market yourself as a food stylist, but your photography is also pretty amazing. So is there a reason you're not pushing the photography more, or
I feel like at some point, and I'm okay with a camera. Anything that you see online, in the last few or 5 years or so, literally has just been from my phone. But I do enjoy shooting. I enjoy photography. I love. I have a very voracious appetite for images of any sort, really. But I love photography. I love other people's photography. I just feel like at some point I felt like I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And I was more drawn to the food styling part.
Yeah.
I just, and I feel like it's interesting now in this time seeing people that are able to do both. And I could probably put my camera up on a tripod and do something, but I still enjoy the food styling the most. It was the thing that I was more drawn to, and I enjoyed doing photography, but more as fun.
Yeah. And it's good to
never wanted that to be my job.
Right. To sort of compartmentalize that and keep it kind of safe for creative and personal reasons. I want to enjoy this and not make this my job.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, so I've seen so much of your work, and I feel like it's obvious I'm a big fan, so hey.
Oh, well, that's so nice. Thank you.
But I'm curious to know, and you've got a cookbook too, and
literally the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. People have asked me if I'm going to do another one, and I'm just
the amount of work that must have gone into that, because I just cruised through it on Amazon just to flip through some pages.
Oh my gosh, it was so hard. And the publisher reached out to me because of my old blog.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
I have had ideas for cookbooks, and I just know how hard they are. And
Yeah.
it takes so much work. They are such a labor of love. They are a passion project. And like when you're working many days a year, thankfully, like I
Yeah.
just never had time to pursue my personal idea for a book. But then the publisher reached out to me and asked, they were like, we have this idea for this book. Would you be interested? And so they had me kind of put like a rough table of contents or some ideas together. And I was the person they picked to do the book. And it was
Very cool.
great.
Yeah.
And but God, it was so hard. There were just days where I just woke up and like slogged out of bed and didn't shower. And I was cranking out like 3 or 4 recipes every day.
And not only that, but then you also did the styling for it. So
I
all
did.
the
And it was
photography in
actually
there.
something that I negotiated.
Yeah.
Was that I just couldn't imagine doing all that work. Like if I have the ability to style it, I can't imagine doing all of that work and then just handing it over to somebody else.
And seeing what someone else's vision
I
of
would
your
have
work is.
I couldn't have even been there. I can't imagine being an author. Like I have so much reverence for cookbook authors and people who write books and stuff. Cookbook projects are some of my favorite. And that's one of the reasons, because like, I do know how hard it is. It's so much freaking work. And so like when somebody entrusts you with the vision of their book, like that's huge to me. I take all of my work very personally, but I especially take book project work really personally for that reason. But yeah, we shot my book in like 9 days.
Wow. Yeah.
At my house. My friend Helen came and stayed, and we shot up in the landing outside my office. And so 21 steps each way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good exercise.
Oh yeah. And it was in the middle of the summer. It was hot oh my God, it was hot as hell. And it was just like the craziest, hardest thing, and just like the craziest time. I can't. Yeah.
That's wild.
I haven't talked about it in so long. I've talked about it a little bit because people still, buy the book or ask about it and stuff. But, just like I think about that time and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. That was crazy.
So it's like a big marathon, like an endurance event that you just went through. And
people think like, and sometimes when you have your own idea and you have, a proposal and an agent and you have all this time, like sometimes there's years between when a book is written and when it actually comes out, right?
Yeah.
This was like 7 months.
No kidding. Yeah, no big deal.
I think it took longer for the book to come out than it took for me to write it, test it, write it, shoot it.
Yeah.
I think it actually took longer for that part.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it was a sprint, that one.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, so I know people can see your work all over the place. Do you want to talk about some of your recent projects and what you've done?
I've been working so much with one particular client in Florida, a big grocery client, who I love so much. And I really love my clients that I have now. And so I was on a tear with a lot of book projects. For a while I was working on a lot of cookbook projects. And then I just sort of fell in with this client, with a client that I really just love so much. And, especially in this time, I have a lot of appreciation for them.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I've been doing. I had a huge stack of personal projects actually on deck for February and March.
Okay.
And those got sidelined really fast.
Yep.
So that's, and honestly, like I have a big art installation project that I'm working on that I can't talk about because I wasn't able to shoot any of it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I have an art project. That's like a food art project.
Oh, that would be cool.
We had to pull the plug on shooting it. Yeah, it's a tough time because I spent like the last 2 years really digging into just sort of like very pretty work, but more commercial work. I've always been a big proponent though of doing personal projects. and exercising like my creative ideas outside of work whenever I have that time. But yeah, I think that's been the hardest part of the pandemic situation is, you know, I kind of was like, okay, I've worked so hard. I've worked for 2 years. I'm going to set like the beginning of 2020 aside so I can do all these things. And then started hearing about, you know, okay,
it happened so fast though when it hit too.
The shoot might get, I mean, my last shoot was March the 10th, 9th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I was actually in Atlanta for a conference. I did Click Away, and I was teaching there. And it was like my parents were like, "Oh, I don't know if you should go." And it was like the beginning of March. And then I got back, and I was like, "Whew, dodged a bullet." And then all of a sudden, like, whew, all the doors shut all at once.
Literally every single one.
Yeah, and it's not, you know, nobody wanted to shut those doors, but there's just nothing.
Yeah, and you know, and I know that everyone's just trying to figure out how to do it all now, you know, the new idea of what normal for our business is, you know. I think work will start back up again here in a couple weeks, honestly. I don't see how, especially for larger, more commercial clients, I think they're just going to have to bite the bullet and hire the people that will work.
No, that sounds about right. Well, so talking about like food styling in general, is there any food that like you absolutely is like your jam? You love doing it and you could do it for days.
Sandwiches, so much.
No kidding.
My favorite, absolute favorite thing.
Wow. Okay. So tell me about sandwiches. Like what's your like go-to tips on putting together a sandwich, and like what does somebody need to know? Everything.
I mean, you know, it's weird to talk about something that you do really instinctively, right? I mean,
yes.
And it's like, I wish I could just build one and show it and be like, look at all the picks and the makeup wedges and all the stuff in the back. I mean, I try to do things pretty naturally, but sandwiches are, and there's just an architecture to them. And there's some things that you have to, you know, you expect to be able to see everything, which when you make a sandwich for yourself at home is not an issue. It doesn't matter, but lots of skewers through the middle. One of my very first like big cookbook covers was for Cooking Light, and they brought me in because I loved styling sandwiches, and it was 3 completely different sandwiches stacked on top of each other.
Oh, no big deal.
3 different kinds of bread. Each sandwich had completely different ingredients. So we built like a mini paper towel sort of dowel holder.
Okay. Yeah.
And then put them on it. And then I was able to take an offset spatula and like slide.
Yeah.
If I needed to make adjustments, like I built them. And then I could take each level and like slide it up and down.
Yeah.
To be able to insert stuff into it.
But like if you had to replace like the bread, it's like all the way down there.
I know. Well, there is a little bit though too of like cutting that out, cutting the back of a new piece and like sliding it around. But yeah, I mean, and the editor was very like, the tomatoes have to be perfect. We can't have any wrinkles. And I'm like, the tomatoes in the middle of the second sandwich. It's gonna be wrinkly. That's what Photoshop is for. It's literally being smashed by like I'm a great sandwich stylist, but like the gravity is still a thing. Like gravity still plays. And I just love them. I have had my whole food styling career sandwich clients.
No kidding.
So I just love them. They're really hard. And people are like, sandwiches are hard. I'm like, I know, and I don't know why, but I love the challenge of that. I like the structural things of like, you know, putting something in the bread to make sure that the top is level or whatever. Like, I don't know. The like meat ruffle folding kind of things. I find that so like soothing.
Yeah, like you just get in there,
get in like a zen zone and just like doing my like meat ruffle folds or whatever. I just love it so much.
Sandwich whisperer.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't toot my own horn about almost anything because I mean, you know, the universe will handle any sort of arrogance. But I love them, and I'm really good at them. So yeah. And outside of that, like, it's just funny. I think I get hired for a lot of really challenging things.
Yeah.
I'm like, can somebody just hire me to make a salad? Like, I make a beautiful salad. You know, I do.
Oh yeah. Well, like your Instagram lately is use what you have and make it nice, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
I've seen a lot of beautiful salads come through.
Well, because I think I get hired to do like pizza pulls. And shockingly, I get hired to do a lot of ice cream.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that ever happened. I have no idea.
Ice cream has come up a lot in conversation as food that people do not love doing. It's challenging, or you know, or maybe they love it, but they love it because it's challenging, like you do with the sandwiches. But it's like something that gives them some pause. And they're like, okay, I need to focus. This is going to be serious.
I mean, it's the opposite of sandwiches to me. I happen to be pretty okay at it. I'm not gonna ever do. I mean, I've done ice cream packaging with like the scoop that has the ruffle or the skirt around it, where you take the ice cream and you put it on and all that stuff. I've done all of that, and I've done a lot of more editorial ice cream, like melty and drippy and like more fun ice cream stuff. It is the opposite. There is nothing zen about it for me. It is panicky all the time. I am a perfectionist, and I'm a chronic worrier anyway.
Oh, good.
And so I'm always like, oh my God, go. There's nothing calm and chill about it for me. Whereas like sandwiches, I'm like, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just like building this thing. And I'm actually thinking about styling a sandwich on Instagram.
Ooh, yeah.
So people can see it.
I think you should.
People do think that you're just gonna like slap the turkey on it and put the lid on. And
no, people need to know.
I might do it on like a Lazy Susan thing where I can spin it around and then show like, here's the beautiful front, and then here's
everything
jammed in paper that's wedged in the back, holding the bread up.
That's
or whatever.
Awesome. Yeah.
But my husband's like, you love sandwiches, and people would freaking love to see it.
I think so too. You should totally share that. I think that would blow minds. And you know.
Okay. I'm actually gonna ask about it and be like, would people be interested in this? Yes or no?
Well, you know my answer.
Okay. That's one vote for yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
No, the things that I've been doing on Instagram really are just like, I mean, it is out of necessity now. I'm not going to the grocery store for every little thing anymore. So we just do like one big shop a week.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's fun because it's fun and it's interesting to me because I have worked so much in the last couple of years, and I'm gone a lot. I'm on the road a lot. And this time at home, sort of like sheltering at home, has really reinforced to me though that I'm a really good cook too, which is
it looks like it, at least.
I mean, because you know, so much of what we do is like make it pretty.
Yeah.
And then it gets like scooped into the trash.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. And people say, oh my God, you must be an amazing cook. Like my mom's always like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have been there. I'm like,
and some people are food stylists and they're not an amazing cook. I have had friends in the past. I have a friend who is no longer with us. She just came from a prop styling background, fell into food styling, and could literally pick up like anything. She would be like, here's this jar of things. Like, I'm going to treat this the same way I'm going to treat a hot dog. She just would look at it and it's just an object. It's like, how do I make this food object behave the way I want it to? And then there are people who are like, I'm a cook and I can make it pretty, but if you told me to make it behave a certain way, they couldn't do that either. Like, I feel like I'm in the middle of that. Like, I have enough of that fashion styling background where I'm like, okay, how do I make this thing do this?
Yeah.
But I also like making it pretty. But anyway, I feel like now I've had a couple, like 2 months at home almost, where I'm like reinforced that I actually can cook, which is fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm making rolled French omelets and
doing all that stuff. Fancy.
Yeah, that's fun though. Instead of just like 2 years ago, somebody said to me that I should make a cookbook of all of my hotel room cooking hacks. because I would always be like, here's me trying to make something out of a mug in the hotel, microwave or whatever.
You totally should.
Do a book of that. And like, I don't want to do a book about this. This blows.
Yeah, it's
like, this is the saddest book. This is out of necessity. Like, I might as well make a book about like MREs or something.
Right. But also, like, what's the market? I'm probably like the only other person, because I've got like so many weird food sensitivities that like when we travel, it's like, okay, I have to bring certain things so I can do that.
Well, and maybe that's for those folks, like, most people that travel are either expensing their stuff or, doing, but I just get, frankly, like if I'm on the road 180 days or something.
Yeah.
I'm tired of eating the same crap all the time. So like I go to the Publix and I get ramen noodles and something that I can try to like squish together in a bowl. And my friends are always like, "You should make a cookbook about that." I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That sucks.
In like a minute or less, do you have any advice to anybody who's interested in getting into food styling and what they should do to go about doing that? Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck with that. Think about your choices. I'm just kidding. I have a lot of people that actually send me notes and are like, "Can I assist you?" That's how my assistant, who's been my long lifetime assistant almost, who now styles on her own, but we still work together. She used to work in an architecture firm and emailed me and was like, "I hate my life. I've always thought about food styling since I read about it in Highlights magazine."
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she was like, "Can I come be your assistant?" And the next week, my assistant at the time decided to go to culinary school. I took Abby on, and we've worked together for like over a decade.
That's amazing.
And find somebody that needs help. It's going to be a little harder. I actually just had someone yesterday send me a note about wanting to shadow on a shoot. I think at this time, it's going to be harder because crews are going to be smaller. We're not going to be able to take on extra people. So at this time, do what everybody else is doing and practice with your food, make things nice at home, shoot things with your phone. Your phone has a great camera. It has a great camera.
It does.
So, take the initiative, work on your own projects, personal projects, or, growth, at no matter what point in your career, if you're just starting out, doing your food styling projects at home, even if it's just like working with your lunch or working with your family's meals or whatever, like practicing. And now, when I started, there was still a lot of dodginess about food styling. Nobody really wanted to talk about it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a wealth of information now online, and food styling is much more obvious than it ever was. There's way more resources for you. So take advantage of that. And I mean, honestly, and just like work really hard. That's not the answer anybody wants, but like work on your craft in the moments that you have in whichever way you have, and like be better at it. Everyone wants like an easy answer of like, how do I become a food stylist? It's like, well, you just start styling food. and you keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you do it.
Well, this has been awesome. We literally have like 20 seconds.
Okay.
So
thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks. Awesome. I get super chatty, and I don't, it's weird because I only hang out with people who know what I do already. So then when I get to talk about it, I'm like,
well, this has been amazing. And if I can have you on again, maybe we do it again sometime.
Part 2, quarantine ramen noodle cookbook, the sequel or whatever.
It sounds awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Subscribe, like the video. I just want to make sure you guys don't miss out on any fabulous interviews.